Skyfall. Now, Skyfall was released in 2012 and is directed by Sam Mendes and stars Daniel Craig in his third outing as the iconic character James Bond. And the film also stars Judi Dench, Naomie, Ray Fiennes, Wishaw, and Javier Bardem. And basically, the film follows the story of Javier Bardem's big bad Bond villain, who's basically had a bit of a history with Judi Dench's M and seeks out for revenge against her character. And basically, long story short, James Bond, once again played by Daniel Craig in this film, is sent to go and protect M before she is killed by Javier Bardem's big bad Bond villain. And that's basically the plot of Skyfall. And honestly, I really like this movie. I thought it was a really good Bond movie and a lot of fun to watch. But I gotta admit, I don't love it. And I wish that I did. I wish that I loved Skyfall. I really do. Because I have a lot of friends, actually, who absolutely adore Skyfall. And I'm really happy that they do. Because I'm always happy when someone loves a movie more than I do. I'm always happy when someone loves a movie more than I do. But the thing is, though, I just don't love Skyfall. I like it quite a lot, but I just don't love it. And I think the reason I don't love Skyfall overall is because I don't find it that compelling and that captivating to watch. I mean, I think Javier Bardem is brilliant. I do think he's a very captivating Bond villain. But the thing is, though, I don't find him that compelling to watch, though. I just don't love watching. I think he's great in the film, and I got into performances a bit later in this review, but I think Javier Bardem is great in the film, but I just don't think his performance makes the film that much more compelling, and I just think the film as a whole isn't that compelling. In the end, in my opinion, it just has another generic Bond plot, and actually I think the film works in its execution with Sam Mendes' brilliant direction, but the thing is, though, I just don't find the film that compelling, and also, I do think it is a little anticlimactic. The big final action set piece of the film, where essentially the whole third and final act of the film takes place, is at this house in Scotland where Bond supposedly grew up. And the thing is, though, I've got to admit with this, I find the third act of the film actually a bit, I don't know, silly and a bit stupid, I've got to admit. Like, it does feel like Home Alone, but for adults, the third act of the film. Have, Bond, he's trying to get in the house, he's saying all these traps in his house and things like that, and there's some assassins coming in there. It sounds like Home Alone, but just for adults, for more mature audiences. And it just, things like that, which, I don't know, it just doesn't really work in the third act to me, I've got to admit that. Because, honestly, when you see the house that Bond supposedly grew up in Scotland, and when you see that house for the first time in the film, it doesn't look realistic in my opinion. It may be real, it may be a real house, but when you see it in the film, it doesn't look real. That's a fundamental thing that doesn't work with the house for me in the third act of the film. And that actually makes the whole of the third act of the film not work for me. Because that house where Bond supposedly grew up as a child doesn't look real. It doesn't look real in my opinion. I mean, it might be real. And it might have a little bit of like CGI added to the house. I don't know. But it just doesn't look real in my opinion. So the whole third act, I'm sitting there thinking, I don't believe this house exists. I just don't believe this house exists. And that's a shame overall. Because I was really enjoying the whole of the film actually. Up to about the third act. And then I got to the third act, I was like, I don't believe this though. And why don't I believe this? Because it just feels a little bit silly, like I said before. It feels like Home Alone, but for adults. And at the same time though, I never felt any sense that Bond was going to fail in this film. Unlike Casino Royale, which you feel in moments that Bond might actually not succeed in his plan in this film, that the whole interrogation scene in Casino Royale, you literally on the edge of your seat because you think, oh my god, is Bond going to actually get out of this one? But you never feel that in Skyfall, in my opinion. In fact, at the end of Skyfall, it's like, oh, well, Bonds are going to come and save the day in the end. And even so, spoilers here, if you haven't seen Skyfall, spoilers, even so, Judi Dench's M does die, there's no sense of really intensity when you're watching the final act of the film, in my opinion. And I wanted to feel that sense of intensity. I wanted to be there on the edge of my seat, feeling like this big action set piece in the final act of the film was working for me. But I just didn't. I just didn't find it exciting. I just didn't find it compelling. And in the end, I just kind of sat there towards the end of the film going, I wish I was enjoying this so much more than I did, but I'm just not buying into that house. And yes, it's a small thing. The way the house looks from the outside. Yes, it's a small thing in the film. But at the same time, though, it's that sense of, like, if one thing doesn't work, then everything else has to crumble down around it, in my opinion. And at the same time, though, I've got some other nitpicks of the film as well. Like, there are some weird moments of CGI in there. That's one moment in particular where you see this Komodo dragon, and it just didn't look that realistic, in my opinion. It hasn't held up quite well. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's better than CGI in Die Another Day. Christ, Die Another Day has some bad CGI, but the CGI in this film, it kind of felt out of place for the rest of the film. There was like a couple of moments of CGI in there, which just didn't feel like they were really meant for this film, I've got to admit. And at the same time though, Bond has a few quips in this film, which didn't really work, like a few quirks every now and then. Like, there's one scene in particular, basically, there's this Bond girl that Bond, hooked up with everything, and then she dies. And he makes a little comment after, like, oh, wasted a good scotch, something like that. And it just didn't feel like it worked for Daniel Craig's Bond. Now, if there's like Roger Moore's Bond, or even Sean Connery's Bond, maybe that would have worked in the context of those films, because they're very different than this film. The thing is though, this is a much more grittier and realistic Bond, And in the end, I just didn't feel like Daniel Craig's Bond would actually say that, because bear in mind, he just hooked up with this woman like the night before, and then she dies, and we'll spoil alert there, but you know, in the end, Skyfall came out in 2012. I had 9 years to watch it, but the thing is though, as soon as she dies, he makes this comment about, oh, wasted a good scotch, and I was a bit like, would he say that though? Would Daniel Craig's Bond say that? And personally, I just don't think he would. I don't actually think that was that realistic either. And like I said before, I just didn't feel like the film was that compelling in my opinion. I just didn't find it as compelling as Casino Royale. I still think Casino Royale is, you know, Daniel Craig's best Bond film, because that is so compelling and so exciting to watch, and literally has edge of your seat moments that I'm just smiling from ear to ear watching. And even so, I do think this film is a huge, and I mean a huge step up from Quantum of Solace in the best way possible. Honestly, I hate Quantum of Solace. If you like Quantum of Solace, I'm really happy for you personally. I think it's a huge pile of shite. But the thing is though, Skyfall is a huge step up from Quantum of Solace, but I still don't think it's quite at the level of Casino Royale, because Casino Royale is so intense and so compelling, and I just personally didn't feel that in Skyfall, and I just personally didn't love it overall. I wish that I did. I wish I loved Skyfall overall, but I just didn't. But the thing is though, you know what? I really liked it. I really liked this film, and that's what I'm going to take from it actually. Because the thing is though, I must admit, I have seen Skyfall a while back. Like, with all the other Bond films up to, you know, Quantum of Solace, those were me watching all those Bond films for the first time. I have seen Skyfall and Spectre, the sequel to Skyfall. You know, I have seen them before quite a while back, but I don't remember much about them. The thing is though, when I initially watched Skyfall, I remember not liking it that much, I've got to admit. But actually, after watching it last night, I really liked it. I came out of it going, you know what? That was really enjoyable, and I had a really good time watching it. I mean, I think there are many reasons the film works. Like, first of all, let's talk about Sam Mendes' direction. Sam Mendes' direction is all over this film in the best way possible. Like, we don't know who Sam Mendes is. He's a fantastic director who's made such films, you know, American Beauty was an incredible film in my opinion. And at the same time, he also made 1917 most recently, which is another incredible film in my opinion. And he directed this film as well. And you can see Sam Mendes' direction in there in the best way possible. But at the same time though, it's the way Sam Mendes directs intimate scenes in the film which make it work. I don't think he does as good a job as Martin Campbell did with Casino Royale and the big action set pieces, but the intimate scenes is what makes the film work in my opinion. Like the intimate scenes between Daniel Craig's Bond and Judi Dench's M, or the intimate scenes between Daniel Craig's Bond and, you know, Naomie Harris's Moneypennny, and just things like that which make the film work. I think the intimate scenes are actually the best scenes. The scene where Judi Dench's M dies is such a good scene because, you know, Sam Mendes makes you feel all the emotion that scene through his direction. But the thing is though, overall, I just don't think he handled the action set pieces as good as Martin Campbell. I still think he did a good job with action set pieces. I just don't think that was as good as Casino Royale. But the thing is though, Sam Mendes' direction is brilliant in this film. Actually, an action set piece I loved in this film, an action sequence I absolutely adored, was in the second act of the film, which is the one where Javier Bardem's big bad Bond villain, you know, escapes from MI6, and he goes in the tube, and Daniel Craig's Bond is chasing after him, and then they're going through London, they're chasing after each other, and then there's this moment where Javier Bardem's big bad Bond villain faces up against Judi Dench's M, he's about to kill her, and Bond just manages to stop him before it's too late. And that is such a brilliant sequence of the film. That is my favourite action sequence of the film, because you feel the intensity in that scene. I wish I felt the intensity in the final act of the film though, because I didn't. But that action set piece in particular, you know, the bit where Daniel Craig's Bond is chasing Javier Bardem's big bad Bond film through the tube, is so fantastic. And that's actually where I think the film really works well. Honestly, that action sequence alone, I was literally on the edge of my seat. I'm not even joking. I was literally on the edge of my seat. I mean, I knew Judi Dench's M didn't die in that moment, because I actually remember how she died, because like I said, I have seen this film before. But the thing is though, just in that sequence alone, I did feel the intensity, and that's where the film works, and also in its intimate sequences. And at the same time though, I also quite enjoyed the score for the film. But the thing is though, I've got to admit, I do actually prefer, you know, David Arnold's score for Casino Royale and the score for Tomorrow Never Dies. But the thing is though, you know, I did enjoy Thomas Newman's score for this film. I do think he did a good job. And I think he did a good job considering David Arnold does so many fantastic scores for so many Bond films, and then Thomas Newman comes in and he does a good job. And the thing is though, I like Thomas Newman as a composer. I do think he's a good composer. I mean, he's worked on such films as, you know, like I said before, American Beauty. There you go. He's worked on another Sam Mendes film, American Beauty. Him and Sam Mendes worked together quite a lot, by the way. And he's worked on American Beauty. He's also worked on a very famous film called The Shawshank Redemption. Don't know if you've heard of that. And at the same time though, he also worked on The Green Mile. That's got a great score. And he also worked on the score for 1917. And he's done loads of scores. He's an absolutely fantastic composer. And he does a good score for this one as well. But the thing is though, the score really surprised me. It doesn't sound like your typical, you know, Thomas Newman score actually. It sounds a bit different than his other work, say like 1917 or American Beauty and whatnot. But the thing is though, his score does work for the film actually quite well. And even so, I've got to admit, it isn't as good as David Arnold's Bond score for Casino Royale, Tomorrow Never Dies, or just his Bond scores in general. I still did like it with this film, but it did leave me wondering in a few moments, what would it been like if David Arnold composed music for the film? What would that be like? I've got to admit that, because David Arnold is such a fantastic Bond composer. Honestly, he really is. I mean, just listen to his score, Tomorrow Never Dies. I mean, yes, Tomorrow Never Dies isn't obviously one of the better Bond films, but saying that, though, the score for that film is so good, because it plays on, like, the music from, like, From Russia with Love, and some of the other previous Bond scores. And the thing is, though, that's why the score for Tomorrow Never Dies is so good, in my opinion, and that's also why the score for Casino Royale is so good, because it doesn't use that typical James Bond film, you know, the main James Bond film, you know, do-do-do-do-do-do. It doesn't actually use it. So the final end credits for Casino Royale, which is why I love the score for Casino Royale. But the thing is, though, I do like the score for this film. I do think Thomas Newman did a good job, just not as good a job as David Arnold. And at the same time, though, let's briefly talk about the Bond song for a sec. You know, Skyfall by Adele. I must admit here, initially when I heard this song, I didn't really like it. I actually thought it was a bad song. I've got to admit there. And actually, over time, it's grown on me. I still don't think it's one of the best Bond songs, like a lot of people do, and that's great. Like I said before, I'm always happy when someone likes a song or a film more than I do. But the thing is, though, I just don't think it's one of the best Bond songs in my opinion. Saying that, though, I think it worked really well in the film. I love the way that you see Bond, you know, get shot in the opening scene in the film, and then you just go in there, dum 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 dum, and you just go into Skyfall by Adele, and that's absolutely brilliant the way it's used in the film. I just don't love the song, I'm going to admit that. It's just not my sort of music. But actually saying that, though, it has grown on me, and I actually quite enjoyed listening to it in the film. And at the same time, though, let's talk about the performances. Daniel Craig is absolutely brilliant as Bond in this film, yet again. I mean, I actually think his performance is better in this one than it was in Quantum of Solace. And even one of the things I actually kind of liked about Quantum of Solace. But the thing is, though, I do think he's having more fun with the role in this film than he was in Quantum of Solace. I've got to admit that. I think he was having far more fun in this film than he was in his previous outing as Bond, because, well, Quantum of Solace is a huge mess, and I think Daniel Craig knew that. But anyway, let's continue on with this film. Honestly, I really enjoyed Daniel Craig's performance in this film. I really did. I really enjoyed his interpretation as Bond. And even so, there was that one moment when he made a little quip and everything after one of his previous Bond girls had died. And he goes, oh, waste of a good scotch or something like that. Even so, that moment didn't really suit his character, in my opinion. I love the way Daniel Craig played Bond in this film. I think he did a really good job. At the same time, though, I also really like some of the other supporting performances. Like Ben Whishaw as Q is great in there. I love the fact that they brought Q back. Like, if you don't know already, Q is such a big, you know, character in the Bond franchise. He's previously played by Desmond Llewellyn, Up to the World Is Not Enough. Honestly, I think Desmond Llewellyn was in literally every single Bond film as Q. Up to the World Is Not Enough, and that's only because Desmond Llewellyn actually passed away after The World Is Not Enough, you know, came out. I think he passed away like a year after. It might have even been the same year The World Is Not Enough came out. Desmond Llewellyn played Q up to The World Is Not Enough, and then Ben Whishaw comes in to play Q in this film. And I really enjoyed Ben Wishaw's performance in the film, actually. You really believe he's this nerdy character Q, and I really like the way he played him. Again, it was a realistic modern day version of Q, which I really liked. And at the same time, though, I also enjoyed Naomie Harris as, you know, Moneypennny, and I love the way they introduced that character, by the way, because you don't actually know it's Moneypennny. I mean, I did, because I've seen the film before, but you don't actually know it's Moneypennny. Like, she isn't actually officially called Moneypennny to the end of the film, and I really like that. And at the same time, I also really enjoyed the way he finds the film. I think he did a really good job. And at the same time, though, I absolutely loved Judi Dench as M in the film. This is my favourite performance of Judi Dench as M, and I really enjoyed her in every single Bond film she's in, even in the bad Bond films being like Die Another Day and Quantum of Solace, even in the bad Bond films she's been in, she's always been a highlight for me, and she's fantastic in this film. She can offer best performance as M. She also feels like she's having more fun in the role. Like Daniel Craig as Bond in this film, she seems like she's having quite a lot of fun as M in this film. I really liked her in it, and I loved the way they used her character. I loved that she's basically the main Bond girl of the film. Essentially, she's the main Bond girl of the film in this one. You know, Bond is trying to protect her, and I love the way she plays that character, and I love that she had such a bigger and more important role, and I thought she was fantastic in the film, and I love the scenes between Daniel Craig's Bond and, you know, Judi Dench's M. But there's one scene in particular, actually, where you see the old James Bond car come back out and everything like that. I don't know what the Bond car is, by the way. I'm not a big fan or anything like that. But the thing is, though, it's an Aston Martin. I might be wrong there. Apologies for that. Like I said before, I'm not really into cars. But the thing is, though, I love the scene where you see the old original James Bond car, and it comes back out, and you hear the original James Bond theme by Monty Norman, and that's a great scene. And I just love the way that when they're in the car together, you know, Daniel Craig's Bond and Judi Dench's M. Daniel Craig's Bond, you know, gets ready to eject at one point, and she goes, "Oh, just eject me, will you?" And it's just, I love the way they played that. I love the scenes between Daniel Craig's Bond and Judi Dench's M. I do think they work really well, and I think Judi Dench plays M brilliant in the film. I love the way they use M in the film. I do. I think she's brilliant, and I love that she is basically the main Bond girl of the film, because it kind of plays on the whole Bond girl trope. I mean, yes, you still have your, you know, sexually objectified Bond girls in the film and whatnot, but the thing is, though, you don't with Judi Dench's M, and I love the way they did that. I do actually love the way they use Judi Dench's M, and I think Judi Dench is brilliant in the film. And at the same time, though, Javier Bardem as a big bad Bond villain in the film is brilliant. He's definitely one of the more memorable Bond villains. I mean, I'm gonna admit, he's still not my favourite Bond villain, but I really like the way he played that character, actually. I really enjoyed watching the film, and I do think Javier Bardem plays it really, really well. Honestly, I've got to admit here, He reminded me of Heath Ledger as a Joker, and not in a bad way. I was thinking at some parts of the film, did he copy some of his performance of Heath Ledger as a Joker? And obviously, Heath Ledger's Joker is incredible. He's phenomenal in The Dark Knight. He's so good in that film. But the thing is, I was watching Javier Bardem thinking, it is like he's copied some of his performance of Heath Ledger. And I do think Javier Bardem is brilliant in the film. I love the way he introduces his character, by the way. Like, there's one long shot where they introduce his character, and, Javier Bardem's walking to the shot, and the shot is gradually zooming into his character, and it's so good. It's just one large room, and there's one shot as Javier Bardem's walking to the shot, and the shot gradually zooms in. It's a brilliant introduction to the character, and I love that in the film, and I really like the way Javier Bardem played that character. But I've got to admit, he reminded me of Heath Ledger's Joker, and I was wondering in some parts, and he might, by the way, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but I was wondering in some parts, did he copy some of the performance of, or did he take some ideas of Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight, and in a good way. I really liked Javier Bardem in this film, and actually the scenes between him and Bond were a bit like the scenes between Batman and the Joker in The Dark Knight, and in a good way, by the way. I like Dark Knight quite a lot, and I do think there is a similar sort of relationship between Daniel Craig's Bond and Javier Bardem's Big Bad Bond from the film, and in a good way, in my opinion. And honestly, I think Javier Bardem is definitely one of the better Bond films I've seen. I really enjoyed the performance. And at the same time, though, I do think this film was really fun to watch. I think it's got a lot of good moments in there. I think it's got a great score. I think the Bond song works really well with the film. And I also think that there's some really fantastic action set pieces. Even so, I've got to admit, I didn't love the opening action set piece. I didn't love the opening action sequence because it did feel a bit messy. But saying all that, though, I love the action sequence in the second half of the film, where they're going through the tube and everything, and they go through London, and Bond's chasing after Javier Bardem's Big Bad Bond film. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And there's so many parts of the film which I really, really like. I just wish I loved it, though. I just wish I loved this film as much as so many other people that close to me do. Like, I've got so many friends who just absolutely adore this film, and I wish I was part of that majority that loved this film, but in the end, I just thought it was really, really good, but just not amazing, in my opinion. I think that was all let down for me in its third and final act. I think this film has got so much to offer, and I think it's definitely a Bond film left, right and centre and all in the best way possible. It's a proper Bond film, and that's why I really liked it. It brought back quite a lot of memories of me watching Casino Royale, actually. I do think the film works overall, and even so I don't love it, I did still really, really like it. I really did. And it was a really nice surprise, actually, because I remember not liking it initially when I watched it, all the way back in, 2013 now. And now, all the way here in 2021, I really enjoyed this film. And I thought it was a huge step up from Quantum of Solace in the best way possible. A proper Bond film, with a really good Bond film in there. Daniel Craig's great as Bond in this film, some really good characters as well. Love the way they use Judi Dench as M. And I thought it was really fantastic to watch. I just wish I loved it overall. But nevertheless, I do still really like it. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Skyfall, I'm going to say that it's a, you know what? I'm going to say it's an 8 out of 10. I rated this film higher than I was going to, actually, but I'm going to focus on the positives of you. I mean, I didn't love it, and that's fine, but I do still think it's a fantastic film. It brought back, the best Bond memories, in my opinion. It had that comedy there, which works for the most part, apart from that one little Scotch line which felt out of place, but it had that comedy in the film which works for the most part, which my favourite Bond films have. But at the same time, though, it had that grittiness of the film, which I really liked, and it had those twists in there, and killing off big Bond characters, which I really liked about the film as well. What was the last time we actually had a character killed off in a Bond film who was close to Bond? From what I can remember, it was On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which came out in 1969, by the way, and Skyfall came out in 2012, so there's a lot of years between each film. So, actually, that's one of the reasons I liked the fact that they killed Judi Dench's M off so much in this film, because it brought back memories of Bond's wife dying in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And by the way, On Her Majesty's Secret Service is still my favourite Bond film that I've seen. I was like watching Judi Dench's M's death in this film going, oh, that's bringing back memories of when Bond's wife died in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and in a really good way, in my opinion. Honestly, I loved that film, and I really liked the way that Judi Dench's M was used in this film. I love the fact that they killed off the character, because it made me think of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and in a really good way. And at the same time, though, I found the film really enjoyable. I do wish I loved it, but nevertheless, I like it. I like it quite a lot, actually, and that's why I'm going to focus on the review. I'm not going to really be pessimistic about Skyfall, because I do like it quite a lot. I like it more than I really expected to, and that's what I'm going to take from this film, actually. I think Skyfall is a really good, rip-roaring Bond film that has a lot to offer. I just wish I loved it. I just wish I loved it. I really do. I really do. Sorry, I know I've said that about 15 million times in the review, but I really, really do wish I loved this film, because I've got so many friends who do love it, and I'm really happy that they do love it, but I just don't really find it that compelling. I don't really find it that captivating, and I just don't really find it as enjoyable and as exciting as, say, Casino Royale or say Spy Love Me, or say, you know, On My Secret Service, some of my favourite Bond films, or even For Much With Love for that matter, but I do still really like it. It's definitely one of the better Bond films in my opinion. It's definitely one of the better ones, because it did leave me with a smile on my face. Even so, I didn't love it. I think Sam Mendes did a great job. I think Tom Hiddleston has a fantastic score. I think Daniel Craig is great as Bond. I think Judi Dench is great as M. I love Bérénice Marlohe as Q. You know, Mohammed is great as Moneypennny. Wade Fiennes is great in there, and Javier Bardem is great in there. All performances are great, and this film has so much to offer, especially with that fantastic action set piece in the second half of the film. But I just wish I loved it overall. But saying that though, I do still really like it, and it's definitely one of the best Bond films I've seen. And you know what? It left me a huge smile on my face, which is what I'm going to take from this film. And so, all in all, I'm going to say the Skyfall. I'm going to say that's an 8 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Skyfall? Please do comment down below and know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, I'm on to my last Bond film review now before No Time to Die comes out. So look forward to my next Bond film review, which will be Spectre, coming very soon on this channel. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like subscribe on the video, and look forward to many more both film and TV reviews come very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye!